talking to Ben Shapiro.
.com/Shapiro.
Yeah, Ben, you're really great there, Ben Shapiro. Yeah.
For the 2020 presidential election, and he was my dark horse because he was the most militant of the Democrats. He was the guy who kept talking about punching President Trump, and I've got to hit back, and we got to punch twice as hard. And when they go low, then we punch back, and all this kind of stuff. Well, it turns out that there are now allegations that he didn't just punch back against President Trump; he punched back against a woman. Here are the allegations, courtesy of KTLA. Michael Avenatti, who skyrocketed to fame as a critic of President Donald Trump and the lawyer for porn actress Stormy Daniels, was arrested on Wednesday and booked on a felony domestic violence charge, according to the LAPD. Now, you'll recall that Michael Avenatti is also...
What is that? No, believe all women! Believe all women!
Kavanaugh had been involved in
that
Brett Kavanaugh, who's now...
Brett Kavanaugh is guilty of sexual assault, but I'm not guilty, but don't believe me. I'm Avenatti. I didn't do it, but he did. He's guilty with no evidence. Yeah.
Avenatti pushed all that out there, and Democrats jumped on it because Michael Avenatti is their friend. Michael
Avenatti is a con artist, Ben.
Trump, and that's our only standard. We're good people now. If you say something mean about President Trump, this means inherently you're a good person. Well, in this case, it turns out that Michael Avenatti, the evidence isn't in, right? We don't know. We don't know. Presumption of innocence applies.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. But he must know if he's going to charge something. Takes one to know one, Avenatti.
Is now saying, well, don't believe this one over here with the black eye.
Yeah, but believe the one with Kavanaugh.
According to Officer Tony Im, a police spokesman, Avenatti slammed the allegation as completely bogus and fabricated and meant to do harm to my reputation in a statement released by his law firm. Avenatti says he's mulling a 2020 presidential run. He posted $50,000 bail.
Yeah.
On the same block where he lives in a skyscraper apartment on Santa Monica Boulevard in Century City. Police didn't provide any details about the alleged victim, including that person's relationship to Avenatti. And here is what Avenatti had to say after being released on $50,000 bail.
I have never struck a woman. I never will strike a woman. I have been...
What the definition of striking a woman is.
Career, and I'm going to continue to be...
I'm going to continue to fight against violence while I continue to hit women.
Stopping what I am doing.
It's wrong when Kavanaugh does it, even though there's no evidence, but it's not wrong when I do it.
Don't believe her. She's a liar. So this is all going very well for Michael Avenatti.
Believe all women, except for me. My women are not telling the truth.
That the woman hit him first, apparently. This was apparently one of the suggestions. Stormy Daniels, who of course is the great feminist of our time, has released a statement on the incident saying these are serious and obviously very troubling allegations, but right now that is all they are, allegations. We should all resolve.
That's all they are, it's allegations, yeah.
Welcomes is complete, and that's what I'm going to do. Agree. But kind of weird coming from the same people who said that Brett Kavanaugh should be run out of town on a rail, lose his Supreme Court judgeship, lose his actual life, career, family.
Yeah, well, choose your stuff too, Avenatti. Lose.
They're now being investigated by the Senate Judiciary Committee for being false, probably, the Julie Swetnick allegations, which are now under investigation by the Senate. Apparently, this is according to TMZ, the alleged incident occurred Tuesday night, but there was another confrontation on Wednesday between the two at an exclusive apartment building in the Century City area of Los Angeles. Law enforcement sources say Avenatti was arrested Wednesday after a domestic violence report.
Yeah, he is naughty, that's for sure.
Swollen and bruised with red marks on both cheeks. Security apparently, here's what TMZ...
It was just a winky warning to tell her to shape up. I'll give you more red marks on you.
Sobbing and screaming on the phone, I can't believe you did this to me. I'm going to get a restraining order against you. We're told security brought her inside the building, took her upstairs, and Michael showed up 5 minutes later and ran into the building. He screamed repeatedly, "She hit me first." So that's great. "She hit me first," by the way, is not an actual defense to domestic violence.
She hit me first, yeah.
He angrily added, "This is BS, this is effing BS." We're told he tried getting into the elevator, but security then denied him access. And then cops showed up and escorted Avenatti into a corner of the apartment lobby and spoke with him for 5 to 10 minutes before taking him into custody. A law enforcement source said on Tuesday that Avenatti kicked this woman out of the apartment, and that's when the alleged domestic violence occurred. And then she went back to the apartment on Wednesday to retrieve her belongings and called police to stand by in case things got heated. So, good stuff all the way around. Avenatti, for his part, is now blaming Jacob Wohl. So all of the storylines are colliding. The writers of season 4 of Trump. And I will say this. They really know how to ratchet up the tension and bring back old storylines that we'd forgotten about, like Michael Avenatti and Brett Kavanaugh. Like, we were beyond those storylines. And then the writers were like, you know what? Let's bring that back. Let's bring that back. And like, whoa, good callback, writers. So Jacob Wohl, right? That was a story like 3 weeks ago. And we're like, okay, you know what? Let's see if we can somehow intertwine these strands and really build this thing to an epic conclusion for the second or third episode of season.
Yeah, it's really a great show. Yeah, go ahead and watch it on Netflix. It's really great. Yeah, it's a great winner for Netflix. Yeah.
Implicated in accusations that he was attempting to falsely malign Robert Mueller, suggest that Robert Mueller was responsible for some sort of rape allegations, extramarital affairs, and Wohl had created this entire fake intelligence company apparatus that was gonna reveal the deep dark truth about Robert Mueller. Well, now
Robert Mueller.
So this is kind of
Or is his name Robert Mueller?
On Twitter.
Mueller. He's got a mole on him. Look at his big mole. He got a mole on my face.
So all of the strands are being brought back together. Surefire then retweeted a report about the case with an additional comment: Surefire intelligence strikes again. So that's great. If it turns out that Jacob Wohl is behind a false allegation about Michael Avenatti, then we get to watch the.
Ava is naughty. Party. He's very naughty.
About Michael Avenatti, then Michael Avenatti shoots back to the top of the heap. That's how our president
shoots to the top of the heap.
These days. And there are a few lessons to be learned.
Or top of a porn star.
And the presumption of innocence. Those things are awesome. And maybe Michael Avenatti and Democrats will learn a valuable lesson here. That regardless of your political leanings, it's
we don't want a valuable lesson. One lesson. Republicans would just roll over and be the nice guys and take them all high ground. And just like, well, we'll let you take down our Kavanaugh and we won't do nothing back. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, you didn't do it.
Spends all his time shouting, "Believe all women."
Yeah, believe all women.
A certain amount of
But
time
we're too nice. We're going to let you believe all women. But you didn't believe all women when it came to Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh, he says, oh no, Kavanaugh is guilty.
And it makes you suspicious of the.
No, we got to believe those women, just not these women.
So, all of this is absolutely delightful, obviously. And by delightful, I mean garbage. But welcome to the world of Trump Season 4. Obviously, this has nothing to do with President Trump. It's just that everything is crazy. Okay, meanwhile...
Yeah, everything's crazy, kind of like you.
It's kind of a tag note on this Amazon moving to New York and Washington, D.C. story to Crystal City. This is pretty spectacular. So, New York and Virginia collectively have offered more than $2 billion in tax credits, rebates, and other incentives to attract Amazon. And as I mentioned, when
Amazon, baby!
Democrats have suddenly realized that if you lower taxes and allow people more freedom without regulation, that it attracts businesses. Suddenly they are saying this about Amazon, so it's okay to have low taxes for Amazon, but everybody else has to pay higher taxes. I do love this. So Governor Andrew Cuomo was asked about this, because he's a Democrat. And a lot of Democrats were saying...
He's a dummy-crat. Call it right, Ben. A dummy-crat. He's a dummy-crat. Get it right. Diamond and Soaps should have told you that by now. They're a bunch of dummy-crats.
...with his brother Chris Cuomo for dumbest Cuomo brother. He defended the deal.
Chris Cuomo or is it Chris Cuermo? Cuervo. Cuervo.
No.
I don't know. Was it Cuermo? I don't know. What's his name?
Your taxes are too high, and that's why you have to offer special...
Too high? Too high?
I love this. He says that, like, the lack of self-awareness here is just tremendous. I love it so much. So here is what...
I'm glad you love it so much. You love it like an orgasm, Ben? And you get yourself off in your pants down there, Ben?
Nothing. They're going to Texas. Right.
Right. Yeah, he's getting off, everybody.
If you're a business in New York, all you should do is now go over to de Blasio's office and go over to Cuomo's office and say, listen, we're investigating moving to Texas. How about you give us a tax break? And Cuomo will be like, well, we're not very competitive. Maybe we should give a tax break to that company. So this is what I urge every business in the city of New York to do. Go over to the offices of Andrew Cuomo right now and threaten to move to Texas. Get a P.O. box in Dallas.
Yeah, get a P.O. box.
Go over to de Blasio's
P.O.
office, hand him a ground.
Or is it B.O. for body odor?
We're going to leave unless you give us some sort of tax breaks.
You need to get some kind of tax breaks? So come on, the tax breaks.
Great stuff from the Democrats. Other great stuff from the Democrats with regard to Amazon. I do love this so much. So there are
I'm glad you love it so much. I love it more than my wife, who's a nurse at a hospital in California. Jimmy Kimmel's kid goes to for treatment at the same hospital. Yeah, I love it more than my nurse wife.
In just 1 second. But first,
For just 1 second.
manage your money.
How to manage your money. I know how to manage it more than you do. I'm Ben Shapiro.
Cutting-edge technology combined with human expertise. Now, I'm a person who leaves financial management to people who are more expert than I, but not everybody can afford that sort of thing.
Let's fast forward this till Ben gets back to the news.
They made other desperate overtures as well, including exclusive Amazon-only executive lounges at local airports, a personal appeal from William Shatner himself. I kid you not. Very weird. Oh, Amazon.
Yeah, I do a great impression of William Shatner. Hey, beat me up, Scotty, beat me up.
And some of these are...
Yeah, no, you can't get on the Starship Enterprise. You wouldn't fit through the beam.
Other HQ2 finalists. Instead,
Because you're a smug-ass, sanctimonious never-Trumper.
But they committed to
Can't fit through the beam to the Starship Enterprise.
Around the proposed 8 million square feet of development needed for HQ and $13 million in workforce training grants. So all these leftist cities happy to pay off big corporations to move into town. Chicago was happy to give $2.25 billion in incentives and potentially more. Half of that offered in the form of tax credits, $400 million.
400 million, yeah! 400 million, baby!
Listed William Shatner.
William Shatner!
Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago. Yeah, you ain't know about Chicago. You're a White Sox fan, but never lived there. Yeah, you should be a Dodger or an Angels fan, but no. I'm a White Sox. And in the World Series, he pretended to be a Red Sox because he went to school somewhere near the Red Sox. Yeah.
They also offered a 15-year, 35% income tax refund, which is up to $50 million annually. But here is the best part. This is so good.
Yeah, wait, Ben, what is the best part?
To create a task force to prevent what Columbus refers to as an unacceptable murder rate. Okay, again, Columbus said that they would start investigating murders to lure Amazon to Columbus. So before Amazon was going to come to Columbus, the city council in Columbus was like, you know what?
Whatever.
Acceptably high, whatever.
Whatever.
No biggie.
No biggie, kind of like my ding-a-lingy.
Maybe on the murder. So 3 cheers for capitalism. Finally get
3 cheers for Ben Shapiro version of capitalism.
To get Columbus to acknowledge they may have a murder problem in their own city. So
a murder problem? No, I think it's a Ben Shapiro problem.
In your city. So all of this is pretty wonderful. Okay, meanwhile...
Yeah, it's pretty wonderful, great.
...that is broken out between right and left over voter fraud. So the right is looking at Florida and saying, look at the people in Florida, look at the election officials in Florida. They're obviously not abiding by the law. They're obviously...
Well, isn't this voter fraud, Ben?
We don't know, right? The response...
Yeah, I don't know. I'm Ben Shapiro. I'm an attorney, but I don't know, man. I took cases before, but I don't know. I defended Stephen Kerr, but I don't know.
Is it going
to... It is voter fraud, Ben.
...the election yet, but... Should we be suspicious? Sure. When people break the law, I should be suspicious.
They broke the law. She's been breaking the law down there. Brenda Snipes.
Talked about voter fraud with the Daily Caller yesterday. Here's what he said about voter fraud generally. He said, the Republicans don't win, and that's because of potentially illegal votes. When people get in line that have absolutely no right to vote, and they go around in circles, sometimes they go in their car, they put on a different hat, they put on a different shirt, come in and vote again. Nobody takes anything. It's really a disgrace what's going on. Note number 1, not a lot of evidence that people are going and voting, going back out to the parking lot, putting on a different hat, walking back in and voting again. Most jurisdictions do have a signature match. Most jurisdictions, you do have to give an address that actually matches up with the name that you are giving. So it's not quite, you can just, maybe at Tammany Hall and
I mean, they wouldn't necessarily be doing that, but there is a lot of people that kind of shouldn't be, like dead people, felons, deceased people, was it illegal people?
You have your voter ID. They try to shame everybody by calling them racist.
Trump, you should have said alcohol. That would have been way better, Trump. You should have said alcohol. You would have been right. They do need an ID for alcohol, not for cereal.
Cereal President Trump is buying. I don't believe you actually have to have ID to buy cereal. That's an interesting take. It's a hot take. Okay? I guess. You need voter ID to buy cereal. Maybe the Frosted Flakes where he has, I don't know what they're frosted with, but things are.
Well, yeah, the frosted with flakes, but even still. Yeah.
About voter fraud. He's undermining our elections.
Yeah, Ben, they're undermining our elections. Yeah, they are, man. They're telling you to go vote again and again and vote off like Mayor Daley from the 60s in Chicago.
I would say that it was a stolen election. As I said a few days ago, guys, you have been saying since 2016 that Donald Trump won in 2016 because of the Russians. So we can start with that. But it's not just that. Right? Republicans, Martha McSally in Arizona.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Involved a recount. She lost the recount. You know what she did? She said, oh, I lost the recount. I guess I'll go home now. I'll go back to my slot in the House of Representatives. Republicans, when they lose elections generally in recounts, don't protest those elections. It's
only Bill Nelson and Andrew Gillum. Andrew Gillum.
Voter fraud. And to every major Democrat now who wants to run for president. So Sherrod Brown, the senator from Ohio.
Sherrod Brown.
You know, that's his shtick, is that he walks around looking like Martin Sheen in Wall Street. I came from a union house, and that's what I'm doing here. So Sherrod Brown, who wants to run for president.
That's what I'm doing, yeah.
Who is the Democratic candidate for governor of Georgia and who lost, who's going to lose, fair and square to Brian Kemp in Georgia. If she loses, it's because the election was stolen. I'm not hearing the same whining from Nate Silver about the undermining of our electoral integrity when Sherrod Brown openly says that if Stacey Abrams loses in Georgia, it was stolen.
If Stacey Abrams doesn't win in Georgia, they stole it. It's clear.
They stole it. It's clear. They stole it. It's clear, man.
Running for re-election. What they tried to do in Ohio with some success by voter purging. What they did in Georgia when they shut down rural precincts that were predominantly African Americans, where many people simply don't have transportation to get to the poll.
Okay, this is irresponsible and it's a lie. There was no.
You're irresponsible and it's a lie. Yeah, you tell him, Benny. Go get him, Ben.
So sure,
I'm gonna fight back for the first time. Go get him, Benny.
Reach out to the African American base and suggest that they are being
African American base,
elections, which is just nonsense. In fact, in Georgia,
this is nonsense.
In this particular election, outvoted its percentage of the normal population in terms of overall electoral percentage, is my understanding. And it's not just Sherrod Brown. It's not just Sherrod Brown. It's other mainstream Democrats who are dropping this sort of crap on a regular basis now. We're going to get into more of that in just 1 second. First, let's talk about how you mail your packages. So these days...
Let's talk about how you mail your packages. All your packages in a box. I got my junk in a box. I got my junk in a box. I got my junk in a box.
24/7 when it's
I got my junk in a box. I got my junk in a box.
The mail carrier just picks it up. You click, print, mail, you're done. Could not be easier. We use stamps.com here.
That's it.
Really on their mind, what they really thought about things. But Hillary Clinton is acting like she's pandering to the radical base. So
why is she not pander, Ben?
If Trump loses, he's going to say it was stolen. Now she's saying that Stacey Abrams would have won if it weren't for voter suppression. So basically, you have the
voter suppression, man.
Virtually no evidence of voter suppression, like active voter suppression, attempts to keep legally registered people from voting across the country. There's no evidence of this. All the attempts to suggest that voter ID represents voter suppression is absolute nonsense. Again, you do have ID not to buy cereal, but to buy alcohol, to buy cigarettes. We use ID every time we are. I mean, when I use my credit card, half the time I have to show photo ID. And the idea that voter ID is somehow a bar to black people voting is belied by every statistic from 2008 and 2012.
Yeah, Ben's right on that one, man. Ben's right on that one.
Well, people vote because they want to vote. And if you don't want to vote, you don't vote. But how many people are being rejected from the polls because of voter ID? The answer is none. Okay, the Democrats have shown no evidence that voter suppression has resulted in lower black turnout, for example. Black turnout in 2012 was wildly outsized in states like Ohio, which is why Ohio went for President Obama. On the left, they like to say voter suppression. On the right, they like to say voter fraud. So the right is worried about people illegally voting. The left is worried about legal people not being able to vote. Neither of those things is really happening at a rapid rate. Okay, the idea that there are lots and lots and lots of illegal votes out there, there's not a lot of evidence to support that. There's also not a lot of evidence to support the idea that legally registered people are being barred from the polls. That's a bunch of nonsense too. But you never hear the same outcry from people.
Yeah, that's right, man.
Openly saying that if a Democrat loses in Georgia, the election was stolen. Doesn't that undermine electoral integrity a lot more than Donald Trump talking about using voter ID to buy cereal? Like, we all know Trump says stuff, but when Democrats, mainstream Democrats, say that elections have been lost due to voter suppression, that does undermine electoral integrity.
I know Stacey well. She was one of my really strong surrogates in the campaign.
Yeah.
Had a fair election, she already would have won.
And I know what nonsense. She had a fair election. What was unfair by it, Hillary? Oh yeah, unfair of you attacking the women that were assaulted by your husband, Bill Clinton, Jennifer Flowers, Anita Broderick, and even intern Monica Lewinsky. Come on, Hillary, what are you talking about?
Bill Nelson, who's the current senator in Florida, who's about to lose his seat to Rick Scott in a fair and square election. They're having a recount.
Fair and square.
They're going to have a too big a margin for Nelson to make up. That's not stopping Schumer from saying that Nelson is going to win, and that if the votes are fairly counted, Nelson will win. Again, the idea here is if my side loses, they cheated. And wherever that's coming from, that is not good for the feeling of electoral integrity in the United States.
I believe he's won a majority of the votes. And as long as they're counted, he will continue being senator from Florida.
Continue being senator from Florida, man.
And Governor Scott.
Yeah, Governor Scott, man.
When their own Republican officials in Florida have said there's no fraud. They're trying to shut down the election.
Shut up, you loser. There is too fraud.
If they don't.
It's fraud by the Democrats trying to steal. It's such blasphemy. Be quiet, Chuck Schumer. Chuck, go away, Chuck. Hey, Chuck, go control Schwab. We can get a job there, Mr. Chuck.
Alex Seitzwald, who reports for NBC News, was down there yesterday.
Chuck.
Of what's going on at the election headquarters for Broward County? The answer is nothing. Literally nothing. So they're saying they can't meet deadlines. At the same time, they're not even attempting to comply with deadlines.
They can't meet deadlines. They can't meet clotheslines. They can't meet any kind. They can't do anything. They can't even hang clothes on lines.
You're supposed to do under Florida law.
Under Florida law, man. Come on, man.
It does mean that if you are making no attempt to comply with the law, I'm a little suspicious of you. And I have a reason to be a little suspicious of you. All of this, however, ties into a broader attempt by Democrats to drive out the black vote in 2020.
Trying to drive out the black vote, man. The black vote.
This is why Democrats are doing this. This is why Democrats are... Democrats understand that the crucial factor in 2016, more than anything else, is that in heavy urban areas and in areas with heavy black turnout in 2020...
Heavy black turnout, man.
In 2016. So what they're trying to say now is Trump is a racist, and Trump is trying to suppress your vote, so you better show up in 2020 and vote for Democrats. And maybe that'll shift Ohio back, maybe it'll shift Wisconsin back.
Maybe it'll shift Wisconsin back, maybe it'll shift the other back.
That's the goal here. They're trying to rebuild the intersectional coalition. Now, President Trump is fighting back against that in a couple of ways. One way that he's fighting back against that is with criminal justice reform. So he has pursued criminal justice reform in what I think is a pretty obvious attempt to win support in minority communities, because the idea here is that our criminal justice system cracks down on minorities too heavily, even though there's not a lot of evidence of systemic racism in the criminal justice system. It is true that the laws do hit black folks disproportionately, because black folks are disproportionately involved in, for example, marijuana distribution crimes, for example. Here's President Trump talking about criminal justice reform yesterday, which he has embraced, which is really interesting because 5 minutes ago, he was suggesting death penalty for drug dealers. Here he is basically saying, well, maybe we ought to just let a bunch of people out of prison if they are, in fact, engaged in drug crimes.
First, it will provide new incentives for low-risk inmates to learn the skills.
Well, he is right. He's taking up too much jail space. We could use for real criminals. Ben Shapiro, Benny Boy.
Reduce their chances of recidivism.
So let them have a chance at life. Don't give up on them. They could make something of themselves. Ben Shapiro, Benny Boy. Come on, man. You do have a heart, don't you, Ben?
In order to help facilitate family visitation. Third, the bill includes reasonable sentencing reforms while keeping dangerous and violent criminals off our streets. Among other changes, it rolls back some of the provisions of the Clinton crime law that disproportionately harmed the African American community.
Okay, so There's some good things about this bill. There's some things I don't like about the bill. One of the good things about the bill is the idea of keeping people in prisons closer to their hometown. Makes a lot of sense because obviously you want people to be able to visit. Some of this was driven by Jared Kushner, whose dad was in prison for a while, and he was unable to visit his father in prison, and so he's been pushing very hard for this. Some other parts of the bill, as far as reducing federal mandatory minimums, for example, on certain crimes, that's a lot more unpopular among members of the Republican base. But there's no question Trump is trying to reach out to minority communities with this. I mean, that's why even in that shot of Trump right there, where he's talking, you can see in the background there are a lot of brown and black faces, specifically because this is
brown and black faces, yeah.
To those crowds, just in a purely boiled down political manner. In a second, I want to talk a little bit more about criminal justice reform, and then I want to talk about what Democrats are doing to try and label Trump racist. Anyway, first, let's talk about your Second Amendment rights. When the founders crafted the Constitution...
Yeah, Second Amendment rights. I gotta get my sponsors over. I'm gonna fast forward to the sponsor.
Trying to right to allow you to protect in beverage vessels. I have used its cloaking device. We always use it on the road. You left this tears...
Yeah, how's this tears tumbler? What about the Ben Shapiro Never Trump tumbler? The Never Trump tears, whatever you wrong about Trump. You have a tears for that. Yeah, I drink a tears, the Never Trump tears, and know that Trump is a better president than they want to get credit for. Yeah, what you got? We got Jerusalem recognizes Israel's capital, baby boy. Yeah.
All right, so... the criminal justice reform bill that President Trump is pushing, as I say, some of it is good and some of it is not so good.
Yeah, not so good. I want to hear the not so good, Ben. Why is it not so good?
Review talking about the flaws in the criminal justice system. So he points out that there are some criminals who have been let out of prison in similar situations who are obviously not meant to be out of prison because there are certain cases in which people have pled down to crimes. And by pleading down to these particular crimes, they've gotten off on more severe crimes. And this means that there are people who've actually committed pretty severe crimes who are going to get out of prison based on criminal justice reform. With that said, President Trump is obviously attempting to reach out to different communities, and that's something that's good politically for him. Democrats, however, are counting on winning the same amount of the black vote that they did in 2012, and they're counting on having black vote. This is why we have people like Nancy Pelosi hanging out with Al Sharpton. Again, it is amazing to me that Democrats are allowed to hang out with Al Sharpton with no questions asked. Al Sharpton is a race hustler of the worst possible variety. Al Sharpton is an anti-Semite of the worst possible variety. Nancy Pelosi
anti-Semite!
Thank him for helping to save America.
That's right, MSNBC still hires him hired.
Take back America. People all over the place are calling me, writing on the airports here, there. Thank you for saving America. I give those thanks.
You ain't saved America, Nancy. You ain't saved nothing. You can't even save your own dentures, your own teeth. Be quiet, Nancy. Shut up.
A loop is beyond me. Republicans should be showing that on a loop. Al Sharpton's one of the worst people in modern American politics. He has been.
Al Sharpton.
On the podium, championing him. The intersectional coalition is in a rebuild mode. That's why Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, she says she wants to run for president because women are called to stop Trump. So it's not just black folks who are called to stop Trump. It is women who are called to stop Trump, according to Senator Gillibrand.
And I think there are many women who will look at what President Trump has done to this country, dividing us, tearing us apart. Really,
Trump hasn't divided us. The number Trumpers have divided us. The number Trumpers are dividing us. The number Trumpers are the ones that's causing the great divide.
They need to share their...
Yeah, we're not supposed to like Trump because he's acting immoral, and we need to go to a moral inferiority.
Us with racism. Again, it's Democrats over and over and over who are accusing President Trump of being divisive, even at a time when he's pretty much attempting to reach across boundaries with things like criminal justice reform. Here's Elizabeth Warren saying Trump is dividing us with racism. Not me, not I, it is not I. At the National Action Network, again, with Al Sharpton trying to divide.
Al Sharpton's trying to divide.
President Trump who's trying to do all of that.
Yeah, Al Sharpton's dividing, man.
This is the dark art of ruling by fear. Fear designed to pit Americans against Americans. You know, we have seen this roadshow before. It is the old divide and conquer strategy.
Oh, that's you, man. That's you, Democrats. What are you talking about? That's you, Democrats.
The divide and conquer strategy that's actually being employed is being employed by everyone, but it's being employed more by the left as a mainstream tactic than the right. Now, I've criticized the reactionary right when I think they're engaging in identity politics. I don't like that sort of thing. But the Democrats...
We don't care what you like. We're going to fight back. We're not going to be a bunch of cowards that just sit there and take it anymore. We're going to fight back. We're going to be street fighters like Way Out and Root. Way Out and Root War on in our Newsmax TV, 8 o'clock.
Coalition routine. It's identity politics routine. Black people, you should hate Trump because he's a racist. Women, you should hate Trump because he's a sexist. And Hispanics, you should hate Trump because he's a racist. You do this too often, and then you suggest that all of Trump's supporters are racist, and there is, in fact, blowback. So when Sherrod Brown, whose main appeal in Ohio is that he is considered a blue-collar moderate reaching out to rural whites, when he says that he's running for president to stop President Trump's hate speech giving license to racist violence, I'm not sure how he thinks that's actually going to help him win states like Ohio.
I mean, a lot of my colleagues have thought about wanting to be president for a long time, and I really haven't until this election. I mean, people have asked me. I've thought a little bit about it because I'm like you are, Chris. I'm worried about my country. I'm worried about long-time young federal judges that he puts on the bench. I'm worried long-term about...
You're worried about my country, too. Illegals right over our country. We need to build that wall. Even if he has to use executive order. I'm worried about my country, too. Illegals crossing.
Engage in racist or worse racist rhetoric or
build that wall.
Anti-Semitic rhetoric or worse.
Okay, they're doubling down on stupid. All they have to do is run against President Trump on the basis that they are more moderate than President Trump, that he's too extreme. Instead, they're running on the basis that President Trump is a racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe, all of this.
Basic homophobe, yeah.
This is not the way you're going to win back Pennsylvania, Michigan, or Ohio. And yet, this is exactly what Democrats are doing on a routine basis right now, which is really dumb. Again, all Democrats have to do is say that President Trump overstated...
Yeah, Democrats are dumb. They're dumb. They're dumb. That's why they're dummies.
Rational person. Like, I don't want to give Democrats electoral advice because I would prefer them to lose. But the campaign that they're running right now is bad for the country. The campaign that suggests...
Well, it's good for the country if you want them to lose, because we need them to lose. We're going to need to win real conservatives. But the illegal immigrants are voting lefties in, even in our own party with rhinos.
The caravan traveling from Central America had begun arriving in the northern Mexico border city of Tijuana, setting up a potential confrontation with American authorities. We can give you the update on that in just a second. So, the migrants are arriving in this caravan. They've arrived in Tijuana, and it marks the end of one struggle, according to the New York Times, and making it safely across the U.S. border. It signaled the start of another to get across that border, something President Trump has promised to impede, even for those seeking asylum. A few of the migrants were trying to figure out how to get appointments with American border officials to present their case for sanctuary, but many of them were trying to figure out what to do now. Were they going to try and seek sanctuary, try to cross illegally, or remain in Mexico? There was video of some of these folks trying to hop the fence from Tijuana into the San Diego area. Here's what that looked like. There's a bunch of people who have climbed up the fence. They're sort of sitting on top of the fence. Apparently, these folks jumped the fence, and then they saw Border Patrol, and they sort of just hung out near the fence and then climbed back over. So the notion that they just kind of fled into the unprotected wilds of the United States is not actually true. However, when President Trump said there are people who are trying to illegally enter the country in this caravan, obviously that was true. Now, is it a crisis that requires thousands of troops on the southern border? I don't think so. But by the same token, the notion that these folks are just coming here to abide by the law.
They're not here to abide by the law. They're here to take our jobs. They're here to put illegal Democrats in the office because they're going to steal the races and to take out Republicans. They're not here to vote conservatives in. That's why Ted Cruz almost lost in Texas.
Another 2,400 migrants associated with two other separate caravans were in Mexico City on Wednesday, according to the president of that city's Human Rights Commission, and they are staying in a vast temporary shelter set up in a sports stadium. You do have to ask why it is that the Mexican government is helping to bring these folks to the American border. Like, if the Mexican government wants to help these folks out, it could just give them residency. It's not going to do that. They're obviously moving folks to America's southern border, and that is not the mark of a government that wants to work smoothly with that of the United States.
Yeah.
President Trump is right to be worried about illegal immigration, and he's not wrong to suggest that we have to vet the people coming in across the southern border. However, they are not a critical threat to America's national security, because we do have people at the southern border right now. And also, when Democrats deny that illegal immigration is a problem, they're wrong too. Right? That also is not accurate. Meanwhile, there's a lot of news about the Mueller probe. Apparently, according to the Wall Street Journal today, Special Counsel Robert Mueller's office is now exploring whether longtime Trump advisor Roger Stone tried to intimidate and discredit a witness who is contradicting Mr. Stone's version of events about his contacts with
Yeah, man,
The
yeah.
investigation is trying to look into the idea that Trump campaign associates were working with the Russians, specifically WikiLeaks,
WikiLeaks.
release information about
Roger Stone is not guilty. Roger Stone's not guilty.
In grand jury sessions and interviews, prosecutors have repeatedly asked about emails, text messages, and online posts involving Roger Stone and his former friend, Randy Credico, a former New York radio personality. Stone has asserted that Credico is his back channel to WikiLeaks, a controversial transparency group, which Credico denies. They're apparently
Yeah, way to go, Ben! Way to go, Ben!
that Credico had access in advance to the situation with
What an idiot, Ben!
Roger Stone. Then the idea would be that Stone was coordinating with the Trump campaign. So you have to connect a lot of dots to get to President Trump here. Mr. Mueller
Connect a lot of dots to his G-spots.
Advance about WikiLeaks' release of Democrat emails in the 2016 campaign.
Ben is dummy. Ben is so
The
dumb.
question becomes, who is Roger Stone talking to on the other end with regard to the Trump campaign? President Trump is obviously agitated about all of this. He was tweeting out earlier today about how angry he is at the Mueller report.
The more probe.
I don't know how
Nice pubes. His pubes.
I think that it's a long stretch for him to be implicated in any of this, but we're going to have to wait for the report to come out in the end. Anyway, here is what President Trump was tweeting out a little bit earlier today. He said, the inner workings of the Mueller investigation are a total mess. They've found no...
Oh yeah, man, Ben Shapiro.
Shouting at people, horribly threatening them to come up with the answers they want. They're a disgrace to our nation and don't care how many lives they ruin. These are angry people, including the highly conflicted Bob Mueller, who worked for Obama for 8 years. Fact check, he worked for Obama for 4 years, he worked for President Bush for 8 years. They won't even look at all of the other bad acts and crimes on the other side. A total witch hunt like no other in American history. And then he talks about Hillary and Comey and McCabe and Lisa Page and her lover Peter S., that'd be Peter Strzok.
Peter struck him with a whip. Whip it good, boo. Crack that whip, boo.
Should be investigated. Our campaign should be investigated for ties for ties including the Fusion GPS tied to the Russian
Fusion GPS.
We're going to have to wait to see what comes out in this report before we can actually make a judgment. I'm not going to prejudge evidence that has not actually been released at this point. Okay, time for some things I like and then some things that I hate. So things I like.
Some things that I like and some things that I hate. What could they be, Ben? What are some things you hate, Ben?
About Joe Torre called The Yankee Years, written with Tom Verducci. And it's really a fun read. It's all about Joe Torre's tenure as manager of the Yankees, beginning in 1996 and stretching for more than a decade, and how he had to deal with Steinbrenner and how he had to deal with his own team. Again, if you're into baseball and you like baseball books, then this is a good book for you. The Yankee Years by Joe Torre and Tom Verducci. Go check it out right now.
The Yankee Years.
That I like that I forgot. We are going to be recognized by the National Radio Hall of Fame today as the up-and-comer. It's one to watch.
Up-and-comer, one to watch, yeah.
That's a fun
Mark Levin is smarter than you, Ben Shapiro. Mark Levin is smarter than you. Mark Levin, the great one, 6 to 9. Listen to him, he knows all, baby. The Trump supporter.
That we are ones to watch. So
he supports Trump even when he disagrees with
I do
him.
love Bill de Blasio. So Bill de Blasio, who just offered the store, really the store, to Amazon. He said, well, if Amazon comes here, they have to understand that they live by our values.
They live by our values, yeah.
To bring them to Queens, those values.
They bring them to Queens.
Amazon understood that if you're going to come to New York City, you have to live with our values. And in the
You have to live our values, man. You have to live our values, man.
Are the biggest number of new jobs this city's ever seen.
I don't even know what that means. They have to live by our values.
What values is that, man?
What does that even mean?
Conservative values? Only values you live by? Christian values? What values, man?
What exactly are they trying to? Is de Blasio trying to apply?
De Blasio? His new name is De Blasio, Ben Shapiro. Get it right, De Blasio. He's a lousy mayor of New York State, De Blasio. Turned his back on the cops, and the cops had every right to show the butt to his face.
With the Daily Caller, and in that interview, he went after Antifa. Now, I am no friend of Antifa, because Antifa...
Yeah, I was at your Ohio State thing the other night.
For quite a while, right? They did
saying...
They did so at Ohio State University.
Yeah, that's right, Ben, Ohio State.
Trump talked about Antifa, and here's what he said. He said, these people, like the Antifa, they better hope the opposition to Antifa decides not to mobilize. Because if they do, they're much tougher, much stronger, potentially much more violent. And Antifa's going to be in big trouble. But so far they haven't done that. And that's a good thing. Okay, the reason that that's not good is because you actually do not want groups mobilizing.
Yes, like the Proud Boys to beat the crap out of Antifa. I heard that. I want the Proud Boys to beat the crap out of Antifa. I want them to beat them up. Yeah, come on, beat them up. Come on, Proud Boys, go beat up Antifa. And when you see Antifa, go root them out. Now, don't go to white supremacy rallies, but if you just happen to be walking around town though, Proud Boys, Gavin McGinnis, go lead the charge and beat them up.
Standard law enforcement is there to enforce the law. None of this is particularly good. None of it takes down the temperature at all. Even though, again, I think Antifa, and I think President Trump speaking out against Antifa is really a worthwhile thing. And a little bit of measured language here would be useful if we want to take.
Shut up! We're trying to be a good old boy. We have to beat him up. Come on, beat him up, man.
Questions, become a subscriber, so I will.
Come on, be a subscriber. Be a subscriber to Ben Shapiro.
This is the Ben Shapiro Show.
Yeah, this was the Ben Shapiro Show, and me mocking the Ben Shapiro. And it was produced by a bunch of never-Trumping hacks that don't like Donald Trump.
Producer is Mathis Glover.
Mathis Glover! Not to be confused with Danny Glover. This was the Ben Shapiro Show, and me saying opinions when need be over the Ben Shapiro Show to correct him. Thanks for watching the mocking of the Ben Shapiro Show.